Okay, well I'm recording now.
Does it pick up anything?
I think it does, a tiny bit. So you might be able to hear a tiny bit of the TV in the background.
Do you want me to do it?
No, that's okay. So I'm going to play another game of Warbands with these 3v3 groups because it's easier to test with. And I'm going to use the same group of characters that I used for the first one from the team that won, which is Cleo, which is a priest, and Brutus, who is a warrior, and Whiskers, who is a mage. And then I've made a new group, because the other groups suck so bad, of Infernus, who's a mage, and Hob, the goblin, who is a warrior, and Countess, who is an undead rogue. So these characters are level 2, as are those characters. So they have all chosen a second ability. Whiskers has chosen another mage ability, so he stays as a mage. Brutus has chosen a priest ability, Sanctifying, which actually makes him a paladin. Cleo has chosen a druid ability, which makes her a naturalist. Infernus has chosen a mage ability, so he's still just a mage. Hob has chosen a ranger ability, which makes him a bounty hunter. And the Countess has chosen a ranger ability as well, which makes her a lone wolf. So when they get to level 3, those characters would choose an ability from their multi-class. And then above that, they'd be able to choose abilities from their first class, their second base class, and their multi-class. So I'm going to open up the turn order for this one. So Brutus is still going first, and he's got speed 7 and movement 6, and this is round 1. So he's going to go, he's just going to try and move up to the middle. 6. Now the ability he chose, Sanctify, is a reaction ability, and he can use that when a friendly character uses an attack or an ability, and he can basically make it easier for them to do that, and that's a reaction. So he's going to save his points. Next is Infernus, the mage on the other side, and he is going to also just move up into the building, and I think he can see through to Brutus, so he's going to use his Firebolt ability, which is a range of 12, which is in range, and it's a adept level spell, so he would normally need a 12 to hit, but he has a magic expertise of 2, so that brings it down to 10. And he didn't sprint, and there's nothing blocking, so it's just going to need a 10 to hit. And he misses, which is unfortunate. And he does have a wand as well, so he's going to try that. Wand is a novice level spell, weapon, which is a 10, but again, because of his magic expertise, goes down to 8. And he hits that one, and it's a 1d4 plus his intellect, which is 2. So 4 and 2 is 6. We know from last time that Brutus has a defense of 3. I just checked that that didn't go up. Okay, it didn't. So Brutus takes 2 damage. Thus begins Brutus deflecting all the damage. Okay, so Firebolt also sets the character it hits on fire. It gives them the burning status effect. Now this would normally just go automatically onto Brutus, but he gets to roll a resistance check. And to roll a resistance check, he has to beat basically the ability cast of Infernus, which was 12 plus his magic expertise of 2, so 14. So he has to roll a d20 plus his fortitude, which is 1, to beat 14, and he does. So he does not get the burning status effect. So he's saved from the fire. And that is all of Invernus's action points. So we move on to the Countess, who is the lone wolf. She's our undead character. So undead characters can be any type of undead. So this model is a ghost, whereas Hitmotep from the last one was a skeleton. Doesn't really matter. They can be a zombie, they can be a ghoul, they can be a golem. They're all undead. It doesn't matter. So she has a movement of 6, and she does have Shadow Step, which last time I said was reaction. It's not. I was thinking of a different spell, different ability. So Shadow Step allows you to kind of like charge, where it moves you to a character and you get to make an attack. But Shadow Step lets you then jump again for an additional action point if you want to. And it's got a range of 8. So with a movement of 6 to here and then 8, can't quite get in range of anyone. Not yet anyway. So I'll just move up. I think what I'll do is I'll sprint and I'll move up 8 to here. Now I have 4 more inches left of movement, but crossing over this river is going to be difficult terrain. So that means every inch move is going to cost 2. So even though I have 4 inches left, I can only move 2. So I'll just move 2 into there. And I've still got 1 action point left. And the other ability I have taken is the ranged ability Boulder Toss, which does damage and grips the target, so it makes them unable to move, which I'm going to try and use on Brutus to try and make it so that he can't get into melee with anyone and basically lock him down. So I would normally need a 12 to hit because it's an adept ability, but I have 2 weapon expertise, so it goes down to 10, but I did a sprint, so it's back up to 12. And I do get it, and it's a d6 worth of damage. 2 plus my agility, which is 2, so that's 4 damage. And Brutus has a defense of 3, so it's only 1 damage. And again, it would normally set the gripped status effect, but Brutus gets to make his resistance check. So it was 12 plus 2 is 14, so again he needs a 14, and he doesn't get it. So he does become gripped. So that means next turn he won't be able to move at all. So he won't be able to sprint, he won't be able to move, he won't be able to charge if he had charge. He just cannot move for the turn until the gripped status effect is gone. So it only lasts 1 turn, and other characters could remove it from him with an ability. I don't think anyone on his team actually has the ability to do that at the moment, so he's just going to have to outlast that one. But that was excellent, that's what I wanted to do. Okay, and then next turn is it's Cleo. So Cleo is going to move. I don't think Cleo wants to get in range of the rogue, so we're going to move further this way, and we're going to try and heal Brutus with the regular heal spell. So we need a 10 normally because it's novice, but I have a magic expertise of 2, so it goes down to 8, and I get it. And I've changed this to 1d4 instead of the 2d4 it was, so 4 plus my wisdom of 2 is 6. So Brutus is going to go back to full health with 6 points of healing, but he is still gripped, so he still can't do anything. He still can't move next turn. So I've got 1 more action point. I don't think I'm in range to use my wand. It's too far. Yeah, it's just a bit too far. So she'll save her action point because she also has a reaction which she might want to use. And the next up is the Goblin Bounty Hunter down here, Hob. He's going to... Now he just has melee abilities, so he really wants to get into combat. So I think he's just going to sprint, just straight up. Going to go 12. Straight forward. Trying to get in there. Doesn't have any ranged abilities, so he'll sit on that. And then it's Whisker's turn at the bottom, and he might even be able to just stand up there and just cast his spells. Might have enough range for that. He does. So he's got Frost Lance, which he's gonna try and use here. You know what, he won't do that. What he's going to do instead, he's going to use Frost Fog, which is an AoE ability that he places in an area. So it's like a cloud of chilled fog that slows opponents down. And it's got a range of 14, so that's enough. So he needs a 10 to make that happen, which he gets. And it sets the chilled status effect on any character inside or who enters. And it also blocks line of sight for things behind it. So let's see if Hob can resist the effect. He does resist the effect, so he's not chilled at this point. But when he starts his turn, he'll have to roll it again because he's still in the effect. Now Whiskers is going to try and use Frost Lance, which he'll need a 12 to hit, which he misses. And I think he's got a staff, he does, which he's going to try for that one as well, which he misses as well. So no, not really too effective from Whiskers that turn, but he has set up this cloud of fog here, which means Infernus won't be able to shoot through it because it blocks line of sight. So he would have to come through the cloud, risking being chilled, to actually be able to see anyone. So that was still pretty good. And then we move on to round 2. So again, I'm just doing a deathmatch, like team deathmatch style. So I'm just trying to knock everyone out. So Brutus's turn. He's still gripped, so he isn't. His stats do his action points do reset to 3, as do everyone's at the start of the round. So they reset to 3 at the start of the round and not on their individual turn. So they don't have to wait till their turn to get their action points back. Okay, so there's 3 on everyone. Brutus is gripped, so he can't move. I guess he will use his Enrage ability, which basically means he sets the rage status effect on himself. And for every 5 points of health that he's lost, he does a bit of extra damage. And that lasts as long as he wants it to, or until he... Actually, I can't use it because it only lasts... It lasts until you are at full health, and he's already at full health, so it won't work. So he really will just do nothing. He's just going to sit there because he can't move, he has no ranged abilities. But the gripped status does disappear at the end of his turn. So next turn he'll be able to move. So we'll go to Infernus's turn. Again, because of that fog, he can't see through. So he's going to see if he can make it over to this side of the bridge with a movement. And he's going to use his Firebolt on Cleo, which is in range, so we're going to go for that. So we need a 10 to hit, which we get. So it's going to do a d6 of damage. For 5 plus 2 is 7 for his intelligence modifier. And Cleo has defensive 1, so that's 6 damage. And then Cleo is going to roll a resistance check to see if she's also set on fire or not. So she'll need a, I believe she'll need a 12, which she gets, luckily, because she doesn't have any fortitude, so that was just a flat roll. But she gets, so she's also not set on fire. And Infernus has got one more action point, which he's going to use his wand, I think. Yes, he's going to use his wand. So he needs a 10, which he does not... Oh no, sorry, he needs an 8, which he does get. He rolls an 8. So perfect. So he's going to do his 1d4. 2 plus 2 is 4. Minus Cleo's defensive 1 is an extra 3 damage. So Cleo doesn't actually have that much health or that much defense. So Cleo's on 8 health now out of 17. So that was quite a lot of damage. So good job, Infernus. So we move over to the Countess now. So we were talking about that shadow step ability before that would allow us to move a little bit as well. But there are a few things that the Countess wants to do this turn. First up, she wants to be able to the bolas toss on Brutus again, because that is very useful. So I think she is going to move up the 6 to get in range. Going to try and bola toss him again, which will need a 10, which she gets with a 14, which does a d6 physical damage, so 3 plus her agility of 2 is 5, and Brutus's defense of 3, so it's another 2 damage. Now Cleo has the opportunity to use her Druid ability, Soothe, which is a reaction for when a friendly character is damaged by an attack or an ability that deals physical damage, which just happened. So she's going to try and use that, which is a heal. She does need a 10 to land it, which she does not get. So it does use an action point, even though it's not her turn, because it's reaction, but it doesn't succeed. If she did succeed, it would have healed Brutus, but does not go off. Alright, so let's see if Brutus rolls to resist the grapple. He does not. So he's grappled again. So he's not going to be able to move. And then we're going to try and use Shadow Step, which is range 8. I kind of want to be in range of Cleo though, which I am. So we're going to try that. And so that'll be our last action point. And I need a 12 to get that. So it's an expert level spell, which is a 14. But I've got a 2 weapon expertise modifier, which I do roll. I roll a 12. So that's it. So we appear where we can fit next to Cleo. And we get to make an attack roll as we normally would, just like the charge as well. And she has 2 daggers, so they need an 8 to hit, which she gets the first one, which is a d4 plus 2, which is 3 damage, and then the second one needs a 12 or a 10, which she rolls, that's fine. And then 1 plus 2 is 3. So that so they both happen individually. I just rolled them sequentially. So Cleo's defense of 1 does get applied twice. So that was, I think, 4 damage total, bringing Cleo down to a measly 4 health. So not a lot of health left. And that is the end of the Countess's turn, but it is Cleo's turn now. And she's got her 2 action points because she used one earlier in the round. The Countess doesn't have any action points left to make an attack reaction against her. So I think she's going to move 1 through to here, move 1 through, and move over here. Her last 4. Doing that to get out of the range of Infernus, and to also say blocked by the fog. And then she's going to try and heal herself, which she needs an 8, which she gets. So 1d4 plus 2, so she heals 3 health. Alright, she's back up to 7 now. It's a little bit better. And then we move on to Hobbs' turn. So Hobbs in the fog, so he needs to resist the chill effect again, which he does not this time. So he is going to be slowed. So his movement's going to go from 6 to 5 for 3 turns. And now he's going to... what does he want to do? I think he's going to try and chase down Cleo. We're just going to try and ignore Brutus completely. So he's only gotten 5 movement. So if I sprint, that would be 10. So 3 to there, and then that is enough to get in with the sprint, despite being slow, but it was pretty close. And he's going to try and make his, I think he's just going to go for, he's going to go for a Venom Strike, which is his ranger ability that he chose, which is an ability that has the range of whatever your weapon is. So because he's using a spear, it has a melee range of 2. If he were using a ranged weapon, it would take that range. So for example, a bow, he'd have a 15 range or something. So he normally would need a 10 to hit, but he did a sprint, so it's going to go up to 12. And he gets it, which is good. And that is a d4 of damage. So another 1 plus his agility is 3. Cleaver's defense of 1, so that's 2 damage. And it sets the poison status effect if Cleaver fails to resist it. So let's see if Cleaver manages to resist the 12 needed. She doesn't, so she's poisoned. So she's going to take... where is... Need to find the little token I had for it, which I can't find now, which is annoying. Okay, so she's poisoned now. So at the start of her turn, she'll take a d4 of damage, which is still reduced by her defense. And that'll happen for 3 turns or until someone gets rid of the poison. And that's all of Hobbs' action points for the turn. And then it's Whisker's turn. So Whiskers is going to stay where he is, and he's going to use Frost Lance on Hob. So he would normally need a 14 to hit with Frost Lance. He has a magic expertise of 2, so that brings it down to 12. But Hob is in combat with Cleo, so it's going to go back up to 14, which he gets. So when Frost Lance hits a character that is already chilled, like Hob is, instead of doing 1d6, it does 2d6. So it does extra damage if they're chilled. So it's going to be 2d6 instead of the 1, which is a total of 5 plus his intellect of 2, which is 7. And I think Hob doesn't have much defense. He's got 2 defense actually, so it's going to be 5 damage. And it doesn't get rid of the chill. Hob is still chilled. It just does that extra damage. Then he's going to try a staff attack on Hob, still needing a 14, which he misses. And he's got 1 more action point. So he could try and move the fog he had set up earlier. And I think he will. He'll try and slow down the Countess by putting the fog on her instead. So I think he needs a 10 for that, which he gets. Okay, so there's now a fog barrier here. Let's see if the Countess can resist the fog. She does not. Oh, wait, actually. So she rolled a 10, and she needed a 12, but she's an undead, so she should have a fortitude modifier of... Okay, she's only got 1, so it only brings up to 11, so still not quite enough. So she is chilled as well, so her movement will go down to 5 instead of 6. And there's a line of sight blocker there now as well. So that's not bad, and that's all of Whisker's action points. So into round 3. Brutus can't move. Let's reset everyone's action points on here. Okay, so Brutus can't move. He is in melee range though of the Countess because his hand axe has a range of 1 inch. So he actually can make an attack against her, which he's going to do with his hand axe. So he needs a 10, I believe, which he gets. He's going to do a 1d4, which is 2 plus his strength of 1, so that's 3 damage. And the Countess has a defense of 1, so that's 2. 2 damage on the Countess. Now he only has 1 hand axe, so he only has to make 1 attack. So I think he's going to save his other action points for using his reaction when he can. For some reason this damage formula is not working. That's okay. What is he going to do? He'll save his action points. He'll save for the reactions. So it'll be... So that grip goes now. It's gone. So Infernus's turn. There's a fog there. So he will be able to see Whiskers. But I don't have enough range. And if I move to here to be in range, then I won't be able to see him anymore because of the fog. So... we're going to jump down. So vertical movement is just like regular movement in terms of measured in inches, but it counts as difficult terrain. So even though it's a 1 inch drop, it'll use 2 inches of his 6 movement. So he's got 4 inches left, and he's going to try and come around the tree to here. And he can see Whiskers pretty clearly, just like that. So he's got 2 actions. He's going to use his Firebolt, which needs a 10 to hit, which he gets. So it's going to do a d6 of damage, which is 3, plus his intellect of 2 is 5. And it's going to set the burning status effect unless Whiskers can resist, which he does not. So he's now burning as well. So he took 5 damage, reduced by his 1 defense, so 4 damage. And he's now burning as well. And I'm trying to do a wand attack to follow up, so I'll need to roll at least an 8, which I do, and then do a d4 plus 2, so that's 3, so that's another 2 damage because of his 1 defense. So your defense modifier applies each time you're hit, not just once per turn. Alright, so that was a pretty good turn from Infernus. We're going to move on to the Countess's turn. So she's still chilled, so her movement's going to go down to 5 this turn from 6. It is Cleo's turn next, and I do want to remove her from the game if I can. So I think what she's going to do is she's going to use her daggers, which have a throw range of 8, which is in range, to try and just do a bit of extra damage onto Cleo. So she does need a needs a 10 to hit because she's in combat. Gets that one. It's a d4 plus 2. So 4 plus 2 is 6. So that's pretty good. And Cleo's only actually on 5 health. So what Cleo can do here is use her reaction, because that was physical damage, to use Soothe, which she needs a 10 for, which she does not get, which would have been able to heal her above that amount of damage and she would have lived. But seeing as she failed the ability, she's actually going to take enough damage to be knocked out. So Cleo has been knocked out. He's not going to get to do any more healing this game. And that was a very good dagger throw. So that was only the first dagger throw of 2. Normally you have to target the same character, but only if they're still eligible, which Cleo is no longer eligible as a target. So she can reassign the second dagger throw. She can't see out of the fog to Whiskers. Actually, that's a good point. She was in the fog, so she wouldn't have been able to do that, because she can't see. Come back, Cleo, you're fine. You're fine. She's not an eligible target. Okay, so she's actually going to have to move to do that. So we'll do the same thing, but we'll move. So we'll move outside of the fog. Brutus is not going to use the reaction to hit. He's going to save it to use Sanctify. We're now going to throw a dagger. Still needing a 10 to hit, which misses this time. So the second one needs a 12 to hit, which does hit. So this is about to deal physical damage. It does 1 plus 2 is 3 physical damage. Cleo is going to use her reaction to try and use Soothe on herself, to heal herself. That triggers, or can trigger, Brutus's reaction of Sanctify, which is when a friendly unit uses an ability in range. And he's going to try and use Sanctify to make it easier for her to do that. So he needs a 12, which he gets, which blesses Cleo, which makes her next ability slightly easier to use. So it decreases the action check required by 2. So Cleo would normally need a 10, which is going to go down to 8, but she's in combat, so it'll stay at 10. And she gets it. So she's going to heal for a d6. Plus 2 is 5. And she was about to take... So let's see. So she takes 3 damage, which takes her to 2, but then healed for 5 with her reaction, thanks to Brutus's reaction. Alright, so then I've still got one more point on the Countess. Now, stupidly, I didn't move out of the fog enough to be able to see Brutus as well, to shackle him again. So we're just going to try and do it on Cleo, just for the extra damage. So we need a 10, which we miss. So that is the end of the Countess's turn. And we're going to go to Cleo's turn. So Cleo takes a 1d4 of poison damage, which is 2, minus her defense, which is 1. So she takes an extra 1 damage. She's really hanging on. Down to 6 health. And with her 1 action point, she's just going to try and heal herself. Just a straight up heal, which she gets. So it's a d4 plus 2, so she heals another 5, which is pretty good. Alright, back up to 11. But that is all her action points used this turn. No, it's not. She's got one more. Because she used the reaction and then used a heal. So she's got one more. She could move, but she'd get hit. She could use a wand attack, which I guess she'll do. She'll use her wand, which misses. So might as well not have done anything. So you can still only use 1 reaction per round. So we go from Cleo's turn to Hobb's turn. So Hobb is right here. He doesn't need to move, luckily, because he's still chilled. He's just going to do as many attacks as he can to try and get rid of Cleo. So he's going to start off with his Venom Strike, So he needs a 10, which he gets, which is a d4 plus 2, so that's a 4 damage. Minus Cleo's 1 defense, so 3. And then he's going to try... she's already poisoned, so it doesn't refresh that. She's still poisoned for 1 more turn. 2 more turns, sorry. But he's going to try his Visceral Strike, which is similar, but makes the characters bleed instead, which hits. So d4 plus Strength, which is Strength is 0, but luckily he rolled a 4 anyway. So he's going to do another 3 damage. And then Cleo will roll to see if she resists the bleed, which she does not, so she's also bleeding now. She's got another status effect on her. So she's bleeding now too. And he's going to go for his spear attack, which is a one-handed weapon he's holding, because the other hand he's got a shield. And that requires a 10 to hit, which he misses. So that's all his action points. He did a reasonable amount of damage and put another dot effect, so damage over time effect, onto Cleo, which could kill her on her next turn. And then it's Whisker's turn. So Whiskers is going to... Whiskers is on fire, so he's going to take a d4. He's going to take 4 minus 1, so he takes 3 damage. So Whiskers is actually getting pretty low. He's only on 8 health. So he's going to actually try and get away from Infernus by... So that's going to be 5. So that's going to be all his movement to go 1 and then all the way down to the bottom because of the difficult terrain, moving vertically. So now that he's there, he's going to use Frost Lance on the Countess. So he needs a 12 to hit and misses. Uh-oh. And he's going to try and use his staff again with 12. Oh, and he misses. What a useless turn from Whiskers. Whiskers is screwed. And then we go to the next turn, the next round, sorry. So that's everyone. So round 4. Brutus, finally able to move. Let's reset everyone's action points. Everyone back up to 3. Blessed falls off. Okay, so Brutus, finally able to move. He's going to... It's not looking good. He's going to come in and try and... Let's try and get the Countess. So he moves in and he's going to go for an attack with his hand axe, which hits. And he does 2 damage. And then he's going to save his last action point to try and sanctify Cleo when she goes for her heals. Infernus, he's way out here, blocked by fog, can't really see anyone at all. So he's going to have to move, he's going to sprint, and he's going to move, so he's got 12 inches, he's going to move 3 around the tree, 3 over here, and then 6 through to here. So he's now able to actually join the fight, and he's got his one last action point, and he's going to firebolt Whiskers. So he did a sprint, so he would normally need 12, but he needs a 14, which he misses. So he's over here now, but he did miss. So it moves to the Countess's turn. She's still slowed for 1 more turn. what she's going to do is she is going to use Shadow Step to move to Whiskers. But she needs a 12 to land that, which she does not. She doesn't land the Shadow Step, which is unfortunate. So instead she's going to throw a dagger at Whiskers, which she hits and does 2 damage with the first one. And then because Whiskers is still alive, she has to target him again with her second dagger, which she hits as well to do another 3 damage. 4 damage actually. So Whiskers is down to 2. Does Cleo want to use her reaction to heal Whiskers? Yes, because otherwise he might die. Oh, to the fire. Because if he rolls a 3 on the fire, he'll die. So yes, she'll use her reaction to try and heal Whiskers. And Brutus is going to use his reaction to try and bless her to make it easier. So Brutus is going to try and bless, which he does not, unfortunately. So Cleo's on her own, just trying to land this reaction heal with a 12, which also does not go through. So Whiskers is maybe going to die when it gets to his turn. Damn. And that was the Countess's turn, so it moves on to Cleo. So that's all her action points. Cleo, again, oh wait, she's on fire and poisoned, so she's going to roll 2d4. So they're both 4s. So that one's going to be 3 damage. She's going to take 6 damage. And that's enough to kill her. So she dies, well, she gets knocked out from the poison and the burn damage that Hob had put on her before she even gets to do anything. So she's actually knocked out now, unlike the last time when I took it back. Wow, okay, so she's just gone. So it's Hob's turn. This is his last round of being slowed. It's his 3rd turn being slowed. Yes, 3rd turn of being slowed, I think. So he is going to... He's going to come around... He's only got 5 inches, so he can't actually get to Whiskers. So he's just going to move in behind Brutus. And he's going to try and poison and bleed him. The poison first hits and does 1 damage. And does Brutus resist the poison? He does not. And then the bleed attack hits, does 1 damage as well. And does Brutus resist the bleed? He does. Okay, so he took 2 damage and is poisoned. And that was both of Hobbs' attacks. Then on to Whiskers. So Whiskers, do you die to the fire? Yes, you do. You rolled a 3. So the 3 damage minus Whiskers' 1 defense is 2. He's only on 2 health, so he actually gets knocked out at the start of his turn by the dot damage. And then it's just down to Brutus now, who is also poisoned. And this is going to be the last round as well. It's round 5. And it's Brutus' turn, so he takes 2 damage. Oh, actually, 1 damage from the poison. Where are you? And everyone gets their action points back as well. It's 3, 3, 3, and 3. Okay, so he's going to try... He really should just flee, because he would be able to make it with a sprint, and they wouldn't be able to kill him. So he'll do just that. He's going to sprint, and then he's going to actually move and run off the edge of the board. Both of these characters could make attack reactions against him, and they would, so we'll just roll both of theirs. She has 2 daggers, so... Okay, so he would probably take an extra couple 6 damage or so. That's still only enough to bring him down to about half health, so he would be plenty fine to flee and escape. And then that would be the end of that game. So again, one warband got pretty roughed up, losing 2 characters and having 1 flee. And the other warband had their characters do pretty well. Although the countess did get pretty low. And the frost fog meant that Infernus didn't actually do that much. But that was good. So I did change the number of healing dice, the number of d4 that healing does, from 2d4 to 1d4. And I think that's better because you shouldn't be able to out-heal damage so substantially. You should be able to heal enough to keep up with it, or to edge away from death. Well, from reaching 0 health, being knocked out. I don't think you should be able to completely out-heal to stay at full health. Obviously, healing someone who has high defense like Brutus works better as well because they're taking less damage, so it's easier to keep them at full health. So it's relative to the max hit points that you're actually healing and how effective your healing really is. So yeah, they do the objective tallies again, so it would be 5 and 5. Sorry, 5 and 0, again with the same split. That would probably be enough to take these characters to level 3, and I think these characters close to level 3, but not quite. And that would be it. What do I think from this game? I think I thought that was alright actually. Not sure I see anything immediately that was busted. So I'll leave it there.